Our next session is Youth Innovation Panel, where young innovators take the stage to share what they are building, what they are learning, and how they are using AI to solve hard problems. I welcome our panel moderator, Dilip Patel, and kids to the stage. Dilip is a product and AI leader with over 15 years of experience building large-scale AI systems across Uber, Amazon, Meta, and Salesforce. He works on pricing, risk, search, and recommendation systems at a global scale. Today, he leads AI risk products at Uber, helping protect one of the world's largest mobility and delivery platforms from fraud while improving trust and safety for millions of users. He is also a Berkeley Skydeck advisor and an advisor to Blue Robins. He not only mentors me, but also mentors several of our students, including those who are present today. I welcome Dilip onto the stage.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Youth AI Innovation Summit. I think that was a very kind introduction, Raji, and you heard a lot about a lot of speakers and Skydeck. But I think the three speakers I'm inviting, they are doing the real heavy lifting. So let's welcome to the stage, Michael, Rohan, Sia. Please give a huge round of applause for them. Tell us about your project. Introduce yourself and tell us about your project. What outcome are you chasing?
Sure. Hello. Hi, my name is Michael Cruz. I'm a senior software engineer at Disney+. I've been working in tech for maybe 10 years now. I'm getting old. I used to be, like many of you, a child, a kid, and I didn't have the skills to build, and I didn't have that confidence. And truly, when I started my project, where I wanted to build a coding school to teach others how to fish and make their own project, I didn't know what I was doing. I was not confident at all. In fact, I didn't know if I could do it. And so what I believed in was confidence comes in from proof. Proof to yourself. So when you wake up at the middle of the night and you have those dark thoughts of like, I suck, you need that proof to yourself that you honestly believe that you can achieve anything that you set your goals to. And so that's why I started my coding school.
Okay. Rohan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Rohan Murthy. I'm an 11th grade student at Monte Vista. And for my projects, I wanted to do a community service project giving back to my community. And when I was thinking of what to do, it was for my Eagle Scout project to achieve Eagle rank. And I had an advisor come and tell me that this is one opportunity where you kind of get to make an impact and make sure that it's something meaningful to you. So I took a lot of time trying to decide on what to do and ended up deciding to donate 50 custom designed Lego kits and a table to UCSF Children's Hospital. As a kid, personally, I was privileged enough to be able to really enjoy playing with a lot of Legos, putting together all the kits, taking them apart and putting them back together again. And personally, I'm also very interested in medicine, so I thought combining those two interests in this project was something that did mean a lot to me. And yeah.
Hi, my name is Sia, and I'm a freshman in high school. I built my app plate chair to prevent food waste and a way to also help make sure people are getting fed. Every Sunday, I would volunteer at the farmer's market and collect the leftover vegetables and then give them away to shelters. And this helped me realize how much food was getting wasted in our community and how much shelters really needed food. So I built my app to help shelters get connected with restaurants who are wasting their extra food and who don't need the extra food so that the shelters can have it. And really the North Star of my project is the fact that two problems are getting solved in one app. People are getting more fed and food is not getting wasted.
Thank you. That's a great deal. So we'll move on to talk about breakthrough. Progress usually requires making some painful engineering choices, and I'm sure this kids dealt with some of the challenges as well. So Michael, you want to talk about what challenges you might hit and how did you achieve your breakthrough?
Sure. Hello. Yeah, this one works. I think it's very generous that you're saying I'm a kid, but I appreciate it. My breakthroughs, one time comes to mind. I used to work for PlayStation about 4 years ago, and it was the eve of Christmas. And then the store goes down, and I get that dreaded pager duty call where I have to wake up at Christmas Eve and figure out what's going on, or the company loses millions. So if you don't know, a lot of people buy video games right before Christmas. So having a bug like this is drastically bad. And it's my job to figure it out, or millions of people can't get their games in the morning. So I was very stressed out. In fact, I was panicking, thinking, oh God, they're gonna fire me, this is it, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I had to calm down, take a couple breaths, really think about what I needed to do. And then it just sort of came to me. I very much realized it really is proof to yourself. Your experience, your skills, those are there. You just need to tap into them.
Thank you for sharing that. Next, let's talk about the wall, right? And I think every builder knows that sharing a screen for hours till you figure out, what problem it caused and what you might have to do to solve it. Rohan, I'm looking at you. Building Legos, we all know you put one step on some Legos and something breaks. So tell us about some of the challenges you might have faced and how did you resolve them?
Yeah, throughout when I was designing the whole project, there were a lot of kind of redesigns that had to go through that, as like you're going from a plan to actually building it in reality. One big one aside from that though was actually getting volunteers, because it was a volunteer-based project, and although you can send out as many emails as you want, but sometimes you kind of just have to go in person. People just won't sign up on a spreadsheet unless you talk to them face to face about your project. I think there's something a lot more special about that. So I tried to get a lot of volunteers from my troupe for my project, and honestly, not many people ended up signing up. So I had to turn to other places. I turned to my school, friends, my sister and her friends as well. Then in the project itself, for the table specifically, there was a lot of redesigns that had to go through that. The original idea was actually completely different than what actually I ended up making. It turned from 4 legs to 2 panels on the sides, from a sliding top to a drawer and just a normal top. I think you just have to be open to making changes and not stay rigid to your original idea.
That was great. As Raji mentioned, that in Blue Robins, or even at, we discussed about Skydeck, when we hit the wall, what really helps us is the beautiful community, advisors and coaches and resources. So I would love to learn, how these kids are using resources. So Sia, as you build up your app, what resources, tools, and mentors did you leverage to make progress?
I think some of the biggest resources that were like the most helpful while building my app were probably the help from my mentor, probably like planning everything out, and the use of AI and other databases. These are some of the biggest resources I had while building my project, and I think this really helped when I had like a lot of problems, because one of the biggest problems I had when I was making my app was that things weren't getting saved to my database, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, because I had a whole app design with multiple screens design and nothing was working. I kept on trying to test the app out. I kept on trying to input my information. Nothing was working. But in the end, I think documenting the whole thing and finally getting help from my mentor, ended up manually inputting the whole database into AI and having to manually connect the front end of the app to the back end of the app, and finally it ended up working. And I think those were one of the biggest resources in my project.
Thank you for sharing that. We have a lot of AI builders, I think 300 plus in the audience, and they all see you as an Avenger. So if they want to emulate you or build something similar to what you build, what each one of you recommend as the baby steps they can take to start where you started? Ron, you want to start?
Sorry, could you repeat the question one more time?
All the AI builders, right? If they want to start and build a product like you build, what suggestion you have for them?
I think that one thing that's really important when trying to make a project for yourself is just making sure that it's something that does have meaning to you. I think that helps a lot throughout the process because while you're going through it and running into problems in like almost every step, it takes a lot of like perseverance, but I think that can come a lot easier when it's something that you personally really just want to do and that you're passionate about like implementing.
Michael, do you have any one-step suggestion for kids?
Any one-step solutions?
One-step suggestions?
One-step suggestions? Just start today. You're gonna make mistakes. You're always gonna make mistakes. The important part is you have to learn from those mistakes. And the way you do that is you start immediately. Start understanding, start learning. Now is the time. It's not gonna cost you as much to make those mistakes, but what does cost you in the long run is when you don't do anything.
Sia, what do you want to share?
I think one suggestion I have is really just like being passionate about doing it and just like don't be afraid to like, make mistakes because like, I agree with what Michael and Rohan said because making mistakes is how you're actually gonna like figure out how to move forward and what to not do to like be able to move forward while building your app. And I think it's like important to be passionate because like if you just do it half-heartedly, you won't get anywhere and you won't really have like the product that you want. So I think it's important to be passionate and just not be afraid to do it.
Wasn't it really inspiring? Big round of applause for these kids. Yeah. My takeaway is start today, start now. Don't afraid to make mistakes. Leverage resources, communities, and keep moving. Thank you, everyone. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out outside of this session as well.
I don't bite.
I'll hand over to Raju.